evening, everyone. It is wonderful to see everyone here with us tonight. So I am going to go ahead and call the meeting to order and welcome everyone. Do I have a motion to come out of closed session?
I move that the school board, having been in closed session pursuant to a proper motion, come out of closed session.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? That motion carries. Next up is certification of our closed session. Do we have a certification?
Whereas the Franklin City School Board has convened a closed meeting on this date pursuant to an affirmative recorded vote in accordance with the provisions of the Virginia Freedom of Information Act, and whereas Section 2.2, 3712D of the Code of Virginia requires a certification by the school board that such closed meeting was conducted in conformity with Virginia law. Now therefore be it resolved that the Franklin City School Board hereby certifies that to the best of each member's knowledge, 1, only public business matters lawfully exempted by Virginia law were discussed in the closed meeting to which this certification applies, and 2, only such public business matters as were identified in the motion convening the closed meeting were heard, discussed, or considered.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions?
I abstain.
That motion carries. Next up is motions from closed session. We have a personnel agenda and a personnel agenda addendum. Do we want to take those as one item or separate?
One item.
All right. So do we have a motion to approve the personnel agenda and addendum as presented?
I so move to approve.
We have a motion, and do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions?
I abstain.
That motion carries. Next up is Pledge of Allegiance. If you all would stand and join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next up is the approval of our agenda. Do we have a motion to approve the agenda?
I move to approve the agenda as presented.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? That motion carries. Next up, roll call. Ms. Moore, would you so lead us in roll call, please?
Present.
Present.
Tanya Smith,
Present.
Marshall Williams,
Present.
Dr. Andrea Shelton,
Present.
Jerry McCurry,
Present.
Jerry Hamilton.
Present.
All right. Next up is citizens' time. Ms. Moore, do we have anyone signed up? Ms. Moore's going to go check.
Madam Chair, we do have one person signed up for citizens' time, Ms. Audrey Lee.
All right. Ms. Lee, if you would come up and state your name and your address.
Yes, my name is Audrey Lee, 507 Barnes Lane, Franklin, Virginia. And I've been before you once before, and I hope that this time I can get a response back from the school board. My problem, and the reason I'm here tonight, is because I'm seeing so many deficiencies in the education of our children. I look around me and I see who the majority of our children are that are represented here tonight, and I'm thankful for that they are being honored. But I am seeing this, and I can't put a blame just on the city of Franklin, because I was listening to the news earlier, and there's a problem in all the school systems in the state of Virginia. And the governor is concerned because he said we are failing our children in education. And I'm sure because teachers. What happened to the teachers? I have a 15-year-old who is in a history class, that hasn't had a history teacher all semester. And he has failed that class thus far. And I had started not to let him take SOL because I knew if he didn't pass the class, that he wouldn't pass the SOL. And I was correct in that. He did not pass the SOL. And a child, at that age, he's a freshman. And at that age, if you have a child, you know that they need constant watching and need some stability and need some guidance because they're in between that stage where they don't really know what they want to do, if they want to do. And so I am wondering why we have a class that has a history class that has a director, the athletic director teaching, and substitutes teaching the class. And then the grades that my child is getting are being given by another teacher that is not teaching and is not in the classroom. So that concerns me because we're looking at a third party that's giving them grades where we have other people teaching them. So something's wrong with this picture. And I have been over to the school. Mr. Phelps has been trying to work with me, but it's so much that he can do as a principal. And it's so much that, the school gets through, I guess, because for some reason, all of our teachers have left the city of, I would say the seasoned teachers have left the city of Franklin school system. So I would appreciate it if we could, one of the things that I talked about the last time was having advisory boards. I think if we had an advisory board where we had the parents and the school system, some of the teachers from the school system and the administration to come in together, maybe we could figure out something together. But this year is almost ended, and none of the advisory boards that were spoken of have come into existence that I know of, especially one that I was asked to be on. It hasn't come into existence. So I would appreciate it if someone could give me some direction or some answers to why this is going on. And I appreciate y'all and I thank you, but I would ask that someone would please get back with me on this. Thank you for your time.
And Ms. Lee, if you would get your contact information to Ms. Moore, the board clerk, and Dr. Sterling, if you would follow up and follow back up with the board on that, please. Thank you. All right. Anyone else for citizens' time? That was all, Ms. Moore? Okay. Next up, 2.10, the ESSER 3 funding public comment. As we've done every public meeting so far, you may remember the ESSER 3 does require that we have periodic public comment on that in regards to the spending. As we've said before, and we go over that as well, usually at our regular meetings as well, some of that is already being utilized and spent, so there's nothing that we can do to alter those, but on those other items, which I'm sure Mr. Ryder will be going over again with us in the future, we do accept public comment on that in regards to how that is being spent or projected to be spent. Do we have anyone that wishes to speak in regards to the ESSER 3 funding? Do we have anyone that wishes to speak in regards to the ESSER 3 funding?
Could someone explain a little bit of it? Because, about us lack of coming to meetings like we should. I'm not even aware of what you're talking about.
We can absolutely have someone that provide that. That actually is out on our website, the information for that.
Okay.
So you are more than welcome to review that and speak at the next meeting if you so choose.
Okay,
Absolutely.
you're not gonna vote on anything tonight?
No, ma'am, we don't vote on that. It's just public comment.
Oh, thank you.
One last time, anyone that wishes to speak in regards to the ESSER III funding? Hearing none, I will declare public comment closed. Next up is our consent agenda. We have 3 items on the consent agenda this week. First up is the VSBA policy updates. As you may remember at our last meeting, Dr. White provided those to us with the strike-throughs and additions. We also have, I'll let Ms. Moore catch up with me. And that's the highlights from the VSBA policy updates. Next up is the CTE Carl Perkins grant. This is our annual renewal. We do this every year. And behind that is the Tidewater Community College dual enrollment contract, which is a renewal of the contract we have with TCC regarding the Vanguard Early College Academy program. Any questions on those 3 items? Hearing none, do we have a motion in regards to the consent agenda?
I move to accept the consent agenda as presented.
We have a motion to accept the consent agenda as presented. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? That motion carries. Which brings us to why I'm sure everyone is here tonight. I'm sure you didn't come just to hear me talk and to hear us make motions and vote. So we have section 4 is special recognitions. So first up is the Franklin City Public Schools Early College and Industrial Credentialed graduates. Dr. Sterling, you want to help me with that?
Yes, I do. Thank you all for attending this meeting today. Today is a very special day to honor our graduates, not just graduating from high school. These individuals took on rigorous post-secondary programs to earn their associate's degrees, their certificates of completion, their one-year certificates, as well as a passport degree, which means that they've completed their first year of college. At this time, will the graduates please stand who will be receiving post-secondary credentials at the graduation on this June? Please stand. Oh, no. Don't sit down. Please remain standing. Seeing you today, and we want to make certain that everybody knows that you are continuously paving the way for Franklin City Public Schools. We are extremely proud of you. And if we have students that are a part of the early college that will be graduating in the next year, maybe 2 or 3, please stand. Thank you. Please be seated.
Dr. Sterling, I'm going to scoot over here. So, did you want to go ahead and recognize them while we were on this part? That would be great. So, for each of these, we have a certificate of achievement. So, we'll start with the Vanguard and the one-year certificate students. The Certificate of Achievement reads, whereas the Franklin City Schools School Board approved the launch of its Vanguard Early College Academy and the Career and Technical Elite Education Program in November 2018, and whereas Early College provides students the opportunity to receive a high school diploma and an associate's degree or up to 2 years of college credit, and whereas the Franklin City Public Schools Vanguard Early College is a rigorous program open to Franklin City Public Schools rising 9th and 10th grade students who are accepted into this program, and whereas the student has worked diligently to complete all courses and requirements, now therefore we, the Franklin City Public Schools School Board, do hereby recognize the student on Thursday, May 19th, 2022, as achieving the simultaneous completion of the Franklin High School Diploma, the Tidewater Community College Associate's Degree in Computer Science, and the Camp Community College one-year certificate. We call this recognition to the attention of all Franklin City Public Schools stakeholders. So first, what I'm going to do, since I've read that, is ask for a motion to adopt this certificate of achievement. And then if we pass this, then I will call each student up and recognize them. So do we have a motion?
I'll so move.
Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? That motion carries. So I'm going to step away from the mic, that way I can be up here to present. So as I call your name up, please come up and join me, and I'll just get you to stand up here with me at the front.
Excuse me, Chairwoman Phillips, we have special guests in the audience that we, made certain was here because you are a product of the city of Franklin and they are extremely proud of you. Can we please have members of our city council and our mayor please stand? Please give them a round of applause. Thank you so much.
And Mayor Rabel, I would be honored if you would come up and assist me with this.
Thank you.
First, Alasia Joyer.
Alasia Joyner is receiving her associate's degree in computer science from Tidewater Community College, and she's also receiving a one-year certificate from Camp Community College.
Next up, Jacob Henry.
Jacob Henry is also receiving an associate's degree in computer science from Tidewater Community College, and he's also receiving a one-year certificate from Camp Community College.
Next, Danica Blankenship.
Danica Blankenship is not here this evening. However, she will be graduating with honors from Camp Community College with her associate's degree in general studies and a one-year certificate.
Next, Isis Brown.
Isis Brown is graduating with her one-year certificate from Camp Community College.
Next up, and please forgive me if I do not get anyone's name phonetically correct, Takavion Hall.
Takavion Hall is graduating from Camp Community College with his passport, with credits for his passport. He's completed 1 year of college.
Next up, Kayvon Hawks.
Mr. Hawks is graduating with an associate's degree in general studies, his 1 year certificate, and he has also completed the requirements for his passport.
Next, Lanaya Hunter.
Miss Hunter is graduating with honors with her associate's degree in general studies from Camp Community College, her one-year certificate, and a passport.
Next, Shanisha Jones.
Miss Jones is graduating with honors from Camp Community College with an associate's degree in general studies and her one-year certificate.
And next, Caitlin Lawson.
Caitlin Lawson is graduating from Camp Community College with her associate's degree in general studies and her one-year certificate.
In addition, we have 3 that will be getting their workforce certification. So first, we will recognize Austin Clemens.
Austin Clemens is not with us tonight, but he has earned from Camp Community College a workforce development certificate in welding.
Next, Xavier Perry.
Xavier Perry has earned his work from the Workforce Development Center. He has earned his credentials in forklift, clamp, and research truck operator certification. Woo!
And last but certainly not least, Xavier Perry.
Xavion has also earning credentials in forklift, clamp, and research truck operator certification. Oh, wait a minute. Mayor, would you like to say a few words to the graduates? And we always also want to thank our administrators. Please give them a round of applause. Our audience, and those are our parents. Please stand and let's give you a round of applause.
While our students, of course, are our primary focus, right behind them are our exceptional That being said, next up is Franklin City Public Schools Teacher of the Year. So,
Good evening, School Board Chair, Superintendent Sterling, audience. I have the distinct pleasure tonight to introduce to you our Division Teacher of the Year.
Thank you, Mary. Thank you.
Very impressive.
I know.
Mr. Phelps? At this time, we would like to have Mr. Yana and Mr. Phelps please come up to the podium.
Okay, so good evening again, everyone. What a night! It's a celebratory night. I won't even get into SOLs right now, but Franklin High School is feeling good today. I'll just leave it at that.
Okay.
But the reason I'm here right now is to recognize our robotics team / program. Robotics is now actually a Virginia High School League activity that competes for state championships, just like sports do. I know that's not even why Mr. Yana and his team do robotics, because they do so much more than just try to win championships with the BHSL. But I'm saying that because we qualified for the state championship round, which is actually on Monday. I'm going to let Mr. Yana talk more to this process because it's brand new with the BHSL, and a lot of it has to do with us being virtual, and they couldn't decide if they were going to do an in-person competition or something virtually. What they've decided to do is Monday evening, the schools that made it to this level, and Franklin High School, and I'll say Franklin City Public Schools because this encompasses more than just Franklin High School. We're in the final round. Am I messing anything up so far? Okay. All right. There is a link that you can see the results, and there's also even some professional development rounds that Mr. Yana and the team get to do as far as learning as the results are coming forward. But our robotics program has been successful and a big winning tradition in Franklin for years. I'm going to let Mr. Yana, who is really the expert about robotics in our area, and other coaches lean on him to kind of know what's going on with robotics. So I'm going to turn it over to him, and can you explain how to see the competition Monday night and what we are going to be presented with?
Absolutely.
Okay.
All right, well, good evening to the board members, Dr. Sterling, community members. Thank you all so much for coming out to our board meeting tonight. I just want to say we have had an amazing year with our robotics program, coming back from a year of virtual competition due to COVID. Even with that being said, last year we had a very successful season being virtual. We actually won our game design challenge as part of our first robotics program. Inside of a group of 30 teams, and we were the top team to be named for our game design challenge. So kudos to our robotics team for that last season. And then moving into this season, again, we were dealing with COVID restrictions when we began the season, and we started off with a team of 3 students to take the competition. So there we were on a Saturday morning, 3 students doing a load-in in Colonial Heights. And we didn't know what to expect being in there with a group of 18 teams. Wow. And we struggled a little bit out of the gate. But just as we always do in our Blackwater Robotics tradition, we worked hard during the day as a team, and we came out as finalists to that first event.
Awesome.
2 weeks later, we turn around and we make the same trip back to Colonial Heights with the same group of 3 students and our devoted mentors on a Sunday nonetheless, competing in the same venue. Different group of 18 teams. Again, very proud of our team. We did a little better out of the starting gate, and we just kept pushing during the day. We were up against some really tough competition towards the end of the day, but needless to say, we were also finalists in that competition, which got us our bid to our district championship, which we qualified for, and we were up against 59 other teams from across Virginia, D.C., and Maryland. And after 3 days of competition, let me also say we expanded the team right after our second event, after we realized that, hey, they were going to open this event up to more students and more folks in the community to attend. So we expanded the team to 10 really quickly to go to the district championship, and they all came in. We all meshed together that quickly in a matter of a few days to come together for that 3-day competition for scouting, getting on the competition floor. Some folks were learning their roles literally on the fly on the competition floor. So it was amazing what we were able to accomplish. And again, at the end of that 3-day competition, with the stiff competition we were up against at the top levels, and for the size division that we have, we were finalists for the first time in First Chesapeake District. So now this brings us to what is going to happen on Monday night. When we came back from our competition, we used that data from those competitions to put in our documentation, because essentially we had to prepare a documentation packet to deliver to Virginia High School League. It was due April 30th, so we were literally on a tight turnaround time between coming back for spring break, getting that documentation put together, and then get it to them. And it was a matter of a few days. We were reached, Darrell Wilson, who's our activities director of Virginia High School League, reached out to all the parties that submitted documentation, and we were made aware that we're going to be part of this state event that they're hosting Monday night virtually. Again, it was decided after polling those that were involved that they would rather do a virtual event, which is fine. So that gives everybody an opportunity. And I think it saves us a few dollars on gas, too. So, hey, at least our teams are getting recognition, so we are very proud of that. And for Franklin to be getting that same recognition is just awesome, just to be selected. Just can't say enough about the mentors and the students that I work with day in and day out. Like I say, we're sharing the same 284 students between athletics and activities. And this is how it comes together, which you see tonight. So that's all I have about Virginia High School League.
So we're going to send everyone the link to the event.
That's right.
Please log in and see the results. But the results speak for themselves already this year and throughout the year. So great point. If you're a mentor for the Blackboard Robotics team, can you please stand? Or better yet, I think Mr. Yan is calling you up here. Come on up.
Come on.
This group works. Sometimes I think I'm in the building by myself and I hear a loud clang down the hallway. It's because Mr. Yana and his group are still there at 9:30 at night doing whatever they're doing to the robots.
Awesome.
They work hard and they deserve all this recognition they get.
More love. Actually, for you 3, stand forward and you come back. Yeah, love.
They know how to adapt.
Yeah. Feeling it? I know I am. Good. Face.
Wow. Thank you.
Thank you. And I know y'all thought we forgot about you, but we did
No,
not.
never.
We just wanted you to have the room all to yourselves. And I think one thing that was not mentioned from their finalist position at the district championship, where they were part of the first runner-up alliance, that gave them a qualifying bid to bid to the actual world championship. And that is exactly what it says. It is teams from all across the world that come to compete together. So that's amazing. We have great things here in Franklin, and everything that we've seen tonight just reiterates that. So congratulations to those that are graduating, that have achieved their certifications, to the robotics team, and to all the Vanguard students and all of the early college students as well. So
That's great. And congratulations again, robotics. Once I found out that you had won at that level, I think you were supposed to go to Houston. Was that correct? That's correct. I got the phone call and I talked to the board chair. I was like, we got to make it happen. How do we get them down there? Let's fly. Just letting you know that you have the support that you need to continuously be successful. And that goes to the mentors as well. We want to thank you so much. And please do not hesitate to ask for anything that you need, because we are here to support you, because you do so much to support our students. Just sincerely thank you.
anyone else have anything to add? All right, unless you guys want to hang out with us for the rest of the evening, we'll take a little pause if you would like to leave. I see some of you, no names mentioned, are chomping at the bit to leave.
Thank you.
Mine's already gone.
While they are leaving, Mayor Rabel has already left, but I did want to recognize, and please forgive me for not doing so sooner, we do have members of City Council here again tonight, so while we've got a little less chaos going on, Mayor Rabel was here, Ms. Copeland is here as well as Mr. Johnson, so I did want to recognize you. I don't think I missed anyone else. I think that's it. So thank you for being here tonight to help us honor our students. All right, moving right along. I'm sorry I didn't have you out of here by 7:30 tonight.
It's a goal.
But next up, financial report, and Mr. Ryder is joining us virtually.
Good evening, Board, Madam Chair, Superintendent, and congratulations to all the graduates. The first item up is the vouchers for April, and as she scrolls through them, there really isn't anything unusual or unknown. Our Ambassador Enterprises, they're part of the access control system, the normal utilities. I had reviewed these earlier and I approved those for bringing this to board.
Do we have any questions regarding the vouchers? All right, next up, we'll move right along to the financial report.
All right. This is the April financial report. We only got 2 more for this fiscal year. And so the city adopted their budget on May 9th, and when they did that, they locked in our funding for the year. So with that figure, we were able to complete our, I'm sorry, that's the budget. This is the April financial, sorry about that. So here we are in the 10th month of the 12
Any questions for Mr. Ryder in regards to the financials? Yep, I think we're good, Mr. Ryder.
All right. Next up is the grants, the grants reading. As you know, we have a lot of grants in play all the time. And so what we want to focus on now are the ones that have to be spent by June 30th, or spent and covered by September. So Ms. Paulson was kind enough to highlight those in green. So we have, there really aren't any grants that we're not projecting that we're not going to spend, and therefore lose the money. Every year for the past couple of years, this one coming up, the idea has always been a little tricky. That first column, 46% of that is spent, but remember, we still have 5 months of payroll to go. May, June, July are 4 months. So, you don't have to worry there. No, I'm not worried about that. We'll have that spent by September. And so the CARES funding, those first 4 items there, the first one, we only have $14,000 left. The second one is spent. We continue to run out of stream 4 and then stream 5, ESSER 3 there. That's what the board chair alludes to every meeting. So we got plenty of money there. Is there any questions on the grants?
Any questions for Mr. Ryder in regards to the grants?
All right. Next up is what we've been working towards for a while now. And we've gone all the way out and we're going back in.
It's not a meeting unless we have some technical difficulty.
This is our wonderful board clerk who knows how to handle under pressure. Okay. So, finally, the fiscal year 2023 budget is finally ready for adoption. We're looking to vote on things. There we go.
And that would be looking at the 21,670,878. Any questions, any discussion?
I have a question.
Okay.
How does the reduction in funding impact those various projects that we had, like bathrooms and HVAC?
The bathrooms fell under ESSER, correct, Dr. Sterling?
Correct, and one take local.
And the HVAC, so where we were looking at that evaporator at SP Morton, that we have already looked at and voted on that last month, to look at that replacement. So we've gone ahead and taken care of that for this year. So those two specific items, will still be taken care of.
And the teachers will still get their increase?
The teachers will still get their increase to their salary scales. Yes, we voted on that at the last meeting, and we've got a discussion coming up right after this on that as well, some new figures.
Okay.
Any other questions, discussions? All right, hearing none, does anyone wish to put forth a motion in regards to the budget? To adopting the budget?
Madam Chair, I move that we adopt the budget as presented.
We have a motion to adopt the budget as presented. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and we have a second. Do we have any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Our fiscal year 2023 budget is adopted.
Thank you very much.
All right, if you would like to proceed, Mr. Ryder.
All right. The last item we have are the salary scales for fiscal year 2023. This is an exercise we do every day before we get going, and so this is the new teacher salary scale. The 10-month column, we made a minor adjustment by from about step 13 down. We moved some of the dollars up, so that's why this doesn't look exactly like the one that you guys just approved last Thursday, or on May 5th.
can I just ask a quick question? Back at the beginning part of the salary scale, you had quickly mentioned something about moving line 13, but I noticed that, and I don't believe that we have anybody at that level, but like step 13 is higher than step 14. So like in the future, we're gonna have somebody there. So will this be amended?
So, step 14.
Right.
How did the thing get here? I wonder if that's supposed to, I would have to take a look at why that is. Step 14 is lower than step 13.
At all levels.
Right, and like I said, you had said something about moving it down, but this was the one that came up as the revised list, so.
Could 13 and 14 be flipped?
Right.
Right.
That's what I'm wondering, is if maybe that's what it would appear across the board.
Okay, yes, I wrote that. How that happened, we had 5 people look at this, and there never many. So, we will look at that. It might have been, and then it got through because there might not be anyone on that step.
Right, but in the future.
So, any other questions on the scales?
Any other questions, comments, discussion in regards to the salary scales for fiscal year '23?
Will this be amended before we vote? Are we voting to?
We can vote on it with an amendment to lines 13 and lines 14 of the teacher salary scale. We can do that. We could choose to push it. The only issue with pushing it to a future meeting is that contracts need to go out.
Right. Do we need a motion?
We would need a motion if we were going to make a vote on it.
Like now? Can I make
Yeah,
it? Okay,
you
just making sure.
may.
All right, so I move to approve, accept the new teacher salary schedule with the amendment to lines 13 and 14.
Line 13 is supposed to be 52,475, so it's just it was $610 overstated, just that one salary.
And all salary schedules.
Okay, gotcha. So we are voting to approve the teacher salary schedule with the amendments to correct lines 13 and 14. And Mr. Ryder just gave us those figures.
But he said only 13 needs to be changed.
Okay.
So I need to amend my motion
Okay,
to accept the teacher salary schedule with the correction to line 13, and also to accept all salary schedules other than that one as presented.
there we go.
Second.
We have a motion and we have a second. Any discussion?
Yes, I have a question. I was trying to remember how were these figures determined? I think at one time we were comparing to surrounding districts.
Yes. We had a discussion at the meeting 2 weeks ago, and given the cut that we are taking this year, of course, we're not going to be able to come close to matching Suffolk or Isle of Wight like we had discussed. We were looking more towards the Suffolk scale than Isle of Wight. So Mr. Ryder and Dr. Sterling sat down and looked at what the possibility was as far as teacher raises, and they came up with this. It's not close to what Suffolk and Isle of Wight are going to, but it is movement in that right direction.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions or discussion? Hearing none, then we have a motion and a second on the floor. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? That motion carries and salary scales are adopted with that one change.
Thank you so much, board members. We have teachers in the audience, and I'm sure, look at the smiles on their face. And that will take effect with your new contracts for next year. So again, congratulations, and thank you, board members, for really investing in our children as well as our teachers and staff. So thank you.
And thank you for all that you do.
Oh, somebody
every
wanted to
day.
clap. Let's clap.
Yes, thank you to every employee for everything you do every day, especially the teachers. I can't pay you what I feel you're worth because there are not enough riches in the world to show what you're worth. But as a board, this is what we can do to start moving in that right direction. And I think hopefully everyone across the state will start leading that as well and getting that movement going in the right direction. Because teachers influence every segment of society and should be appreciated accordingly. All right. Anything else, Mr. Ryder?
No, I think that is it. Thank you all very much.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Ryder. Next up is operations.
Okay, Dr. Carter.
Dr. Carter.
You look like you're nervous to come up. Come on up. You have some good stuff to tell.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening. Good evening.
Okay. So I just want to give you a brief update on Modular A, and it says all classrooms will be here, but it'll be there by June. My screen is blurry, so I can't look down, so I have to look over. So all classroom furniture will be prior to June 30th. So furniture will be here. Installation of furniture will occur in July, and then we'll have a grand opening in August of 2022. So we are excited about our final move-in. And folks, I believe my presentation has come to a very quick end. Any questions?
That was an extensive report.
So good. Thank you.
It's been a long time. This is good news. It's been a long time in the making. I know there's been hurdles and challenges with getting equipment in there, with getting the modular in place. You know, COVID has not been kind to this modular project. So we're excited. We're excited for that, and kids coming back in the fall and having these wonderful classrooms. So that's good things. That's good things.
There's nothing else. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, assessment and accountability, and Ms. Stratton will be joining us.
Good evening, school board. Dr. Sterling.
Good evening.
All right, so these are our completion rates for SB Morton. As of last week, you can see that we were scheduled to test the reading SOLs this week, and we have done so. So all of our first-time tests have been given at SB Morton. We're working on our expedited retakes and our makeup testing for students that
y'all competing for quickest presentation tonight?
Could you scroll back a slide? I wanted to finish reading that last section. No, you're fine. Okay, thank you.
And I think I hate to put it this way, I think we're all very cognizant that absenteeism still, not just here, but universally is still an issue coming out of COVID. So what I will say is that I do hope that the end of the school year brings an end to that and moves us into the next school year with better attendance. COVID has still been inhibitive. We all know where we were at the first of the year with COVID, and we had a January, February. We had a lot of students that had COVID, so we know the impact that had on attendance. I will say it's a double-edged sword. We are very thankful for parents when their kids were sick, that they did keep sick kids home, because for ages, parents, we've asked that. As educators and as other parents to other parents, we've asked that. So we are very grateful for that, but that does have an impact back as well on that attendance. So hopefully, I'll have my everything crossed. The new school year will bring better attendance and better circumstances for attendance. So.
I want to publicly thank Ms. Stratton. Ms. Stratton, you're constantly in the trenches, and it seems like one year we're all good, then the next year you're the lead trainer. She has trained 3 school teams this year on testing with her and the support of Ms. Bosner, and on top of testing. So I just want to publicly thank you for all the work that you do. And plus, when just dealing with me, what's the numbers? Where are we at? And she's always so accommodating and so gracious, and pick up the phone and says, okay, Dr. Sterling, everything is in your drive. And I just want to thank you so much, because I just want you to know the things that you do, they don't go unnoticed. You are one of our champions and our heroes, and I just truly appreciate you.
All right. Next up, curriculum and instruction. And I'm still going to speak it again, Dr. Burkhalter.
Good evening, School Board Chair, Vice Chair, School Board members, community, and staff. Tonight, Mr. Walters and myself are going to present. You started out the school board meeting with the students at the finish line, and we just want to show how we support them to get there. So now that we're back to business as normal, we want to give you an update on where we are with summer school. So for S.P. Morton and J.P. King Middle School, it will be a Title I summer school. As you know, it's traditionally been covered by the 21st Century Grant, but we no longer have that because you get 1 cycle. They were gracious enough to give us 2 cycles of that grant. So this year, we'll be funding it for a second year out of Title I. The dates will be June 22nd. June 22nd and June 23rd will be professional development for the teachers. That gives them an opportunity to get the expectations, go through the curriculum that will be utilized, and start prepping the materials in their classrooms. Then the first day of summer school will be June 27th, and then it will conclude on July 21st for both schools. We have finalized the location, and it will be Joseph P. King Junior Middle School again. So, of course, the subjects are pending the final preliminary of the SOL results, but right now, with where the data is trending, for kindergarten through 2nd grade, they will have summer school for the subjects of reading and math. For 3rd through 5th grade, they will have the subjects of science and reading, because they continue to show a strength in math. Science, we're really trying to close that gap, and the same with math. As you know, they go hand in hand.
So what we've prepared are the schedules that we're going to utilize for summer school We have broken this down into kindergarten through second grade, third grade through fifth grade, and then we have the middle school schedule on the next slide. I will say one of the things that we're very, very cognizant of is the wraparound support that's needed for our students in summer school. So I met today with Ms. Vargas, student nutrition, and Ms. Blackwell, transportation, to go ahead and lay the groundwork to continue very similarly to what we did during summer school last year. So we are already having those conversations, and we're going to be identifying the students, like Ms. Burkhalter said, as our SOL data comes in. We are going to ask teachers to report at 7:45 and remain on campus until 12:15, but we are building in a short period of recess, and we're going to make sure that students receive breakfast and lunch in addition to the instruction. So we do have that offset just a little bit so that we don't have everybody outside at the same time. But in speaking with Ms. Vargas, she is able to accommodate all lunches, all breakfasts and lunches at the same time. So again, at the middle school, we don't have that recess piece, but we have built in that period of transition. And again, we're going to utilize our SOL data to identify the students who are going to be supported in our summer school program.
And then for Franklin High School, as you know, that's just a whole nother beast. Franklin High School, you know, they pretty much run all year round with testing. And so Mr. Phelps will be having 3 different summer schools per usual. So the first is the 4-credit summer school, which is for students that are repeating or it's actually a new course for them. And just like with the other 2 schools, we wanted to show you the hours, the days, and the subjects that will be provided during the summer. The second summer school that he will be running is the SOL Academy 1 for those students, and it shows the expedited retake subjects with the dates as well. And then the last is the SOL Academy number 2 with the dates, times, and the subjects as well. Are there any questions, comments, or concerns about the 3 summer schools, Mr.
The subjects that are in italics for Franklin High School, is that if it's needed?
Correct.
Okay.
And then just to give you the additional information, just because the high school is a little bit different due to their funding, the summer school testing coordinator will be Anita Harris because they do have to do the SOL testing, whereas the other 2 schools will not. The funding source for for Franklin High School, as usual, he will have $20,000 coming out of the general fund, the local budget. And then this year, he will be supplemented with $20,000 additional dollars from Title V. And this is because due to the pandemic, if you will go back when Dr. Sterling first came into the division, one of the focus areas was looking at overage students. And due to the chronic absenteeism and what has taken place over the last 2 years, we've shifted our focus back to that. So Mr. Phelps will be having a focus with those students to support them with getting at least 2 classes taken or more. So that's the reason why we're bumping up his funding for this summer. Are there any questions for Franklin High School?
I did just have a question for all of them, really. Has it already been put out for people to apply to teach for that? Has there been a great reception, or do you anticipate there being a struggle to fill the classrooms? Because I know it's like a nationwide issue, and I just was wondering.
Great question. So yes, the applications was put online 2 weeks ago by the Human Resource Department. They're also working on advertisements, so they have their flyers ready to post as well for each school. And then in addition to that, to make it more competitive, because as you said, it is a national teacher shortage. For my regional meeting that I went to a few weeks ago, we discussed the pay rate per hour. As you know, last summer, due to the COVID gap, in addition to the summer slide, the division started adjusting the hourly rate all the way up to $65 per hour for teachers. We only bumped ours up by a few dollars to where they had received $30 or $32 per hour. But this year we know that we really have to be competitive. So for the Title I summer school, we will be bumping it up to $50 per hour to help with that as well. That allows us to compete or be a little bit more competitive with the schools in our region.
And with the $40,000 budgeted for Franklin High School, what hourly rate does that give the teachers?
So that is a great question.
Because those are all end of course or SOL issues.
Absolutely. So Mr. Ryder and I was going back and forth about this, and Dr. Sterling yesterday, and Mr. Phelps, individually or collaborative conversations. That is a great question. Carrie Johnson and
That name was punctuated quite precisely.
So we have a meeting about that tomorrow.
Okay.
Because if it was all federal funding, of course, it would be $50 because it's equitable across the board. But because we're still utilizing local funding, we have to have the conversation about that.
Okay, that, and just one
It's
more
a continued
question.
conversation, I should say, until
Gotcha.
tomorrow.
I'm just aware, I'm just thankful that you all are aware, you know, that it's going to be an issue because it's been for the past, you know, couple of years all across the board. But the funding that is already appropriated for Franklin High School, does that include those courses that are italicized or not?
So what you don't see tonight is each school principal received a template to put their budget into, and it's tentatively built based off of the preliminary data. So what he had as of Friday is what it was built off of. Now, we don't build the schedules down to the penny until we get to the end of SOL testing, so he still has cushion in there.
Gotcha. That's what I was hoping, because it wasn't just like one; it was a few. But if the kids needed it, I wanted to make sure that we did what we could to make sure that they got it.
Absolutely, great question, and he's ready to shift too. So we did talk yesterday as well, and so even if he has to adjust from the 30 to the 50, there's cushion in that for him to adjust as well.
Awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions, Carrie Johnson?
No, not yet.
So because this is a collaborative effort with Mr. Walters, our new Director of Special Education, Deborah King, who couldn't be with us tonight due to a family emergency, as well as the principals, I'm going to present her presentation. She stays in alignment with what's happening in the schools. So she's going to support all 3 schools for exceptional education students with a 504 or an IEP. So they'll be running the same dates as SP Morton and JP King. And then the hours are the same, 7:45 to 12:15. And then, 8 to noon, the teacher, 7:45 to 12:15. She's currently going through the IEPs. As you know, she just joined us 3 to 4 weeks ago. So she's going through the IEPs to first identify who actually qualifies per their IEP. And at the time that she turned this in on Monday, there was currently 20 students identified. She will finish that out by the end of the month. And then from there, we will determine with the preliminary SOL data who will attend and receive letters. So we will have 1 early childhood special education class, 1 teacher for the elementary students K through 5, 1 teacher at the middle school, and then we will have 1 teacher designated for the high school. Remember, summer school has a focus first for those students who need it, so we will be using the tiering system, and we'll be having a focus to offer summer school for the SP Morton and JP King Middle School for Tier 2 and Tier 3 students first. And then the proposed budget, utilizing the ESSER 3 for exceptional education students to exceptional education teacher assistants. And then you see her budget there as well, as identified by Mr. Ryder and confirmed yesterday. Are there any questions, comments, or concerns?
Nope. Are you sure? I'm positive.
And then here's a sample of the schedule that will be utilized for the elementary and middle school. Of course, she'll push into the high school as Mr. Phelps has his 3. If there's no questions, that concludes our report. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Next up is superintendent's report. And I will turn it over to you, Dr. Sterling.
All right, thank you so much. All right, with the superintendent's report, I'm going to give you a brief update on the Berkeley Court students that reside in Berkeley Court, and four-day schedule, and survey results. Just want to update the board on FCPS on Berkeley Court. Unfortunately, our students were in a very unfortunate situation. There was an explosion that occurred in one of the apartments in Berkeley Court on Friday, April 15th. FCPS currently serves 78 students. SP Morton has 37, JP King has 18, and FHS has 16. FCPS currently provides transportation to any displaced students, and we have students as far as Suffolk, but we make certain that we go out, we nurture and support our children, and we bring them back in. We also have made contact with numerous families in regards to anything that they need that we can support them with, because again, we are the community, we serve our students, and we want to make certain that we provide any type of social emotional support, and which we do because our counselors are aware of our children that have been in this unfortunate event. So I just wanted to make certain that the board knows that we are extending ourselves to the children of Berkeley Court. Next, we have the four-day school schedule survey update. We've had staff meetings held at all schools with principals on Monday, May 9th. Starting Monday, May 9th. Division and staff members met Thursday, May 12th, and we held a webinar that had approximately 30 participants. We had town hall meetings at all three schools, SP Morton, JP King, FHS. We did robocalls to make certain that our parents knew. We have letters that have gone out, and parents are receiving the information in print, mailed directly to their homes, just in case they are not able to in case they weren't able to come into the town hall meetings. The survey results for next year's recommended schedule for a 4 and 4.5 day work week. You have 111 participants, 69 teachers, 23 staff members, and 19 administrators. The current survey results in favor of the new proposed 4-day schedule was 88 participants, which is an overwhelming 80%. And to keep the current 22-23 schedule was 20%. I realized that the board had made the proposal to approve, and I mentioned that I would bring back the survey as results, and board members, they are exactly aligned with what you had proposed at the last meeting. The town hall survey results as of May 19th, 28 attended the various meetings, 13 responses for survey participation. The question in favor was 76%, and keep current schedule was 15%, and one participant skipped the survey. So as you can see, these are the next steps, because we're not just going to stop with the survey results. We want to make certain that we are communicating to our parents and our community. So we have a parent mailing we sent to every FCPS household, over 640 households. Mailings included information on the proposed schedule and requests to participate in the survey, webinar presentation, and survey posted on the website under news and announcements. The survey will close on May 31st, and as you can see, this is the letter that was sent home to the parents with all of the graphics. So they will, and the proposed schedule as well. The meetings are currently being scheduled with child care providers, so we can make certain that our parents have that resource as well. And that is the superintendent's report. Are there any questions?
Any questions, comments, discussion?
Have you gotten any responses from parents yet? From
For-
the letters, from the mailings?
For the survey?
From the mailings.
Oh, no, not yet. We just did the mailings 2 days ago, so with Franklin's mail, they should just be hitting today and possibly tomorrow. So we're looking for next week for that to be, for them to start calling the office.
I just wanted to comment. I think the question came up earlier in the evening, like, where are all the teachers? And, you know, I know from going to the VSBA convention in November, you know, what I was thinking was our issue, like maybe here in the surrounding areas, it's really a state issue. Northern Virginia was having a problem. Western Virginia is having a problem. You know, the metropolitan areas, the rural area, I mean, there was no line drawn. Everybody is having the issue. And I just wanted to say that I'm really thankful that you all got creative to try to honor the teachers that we have and attract new teachers so that we can have, you know, more stability in the classrooms, because I know that it's super tough to try to get people who are, you know, interested in the profession. So I just want to say thanks. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you. It's a lot of work.
I wholeheartedly concur with that, and I think, you know, we've had discussion, a few of us have actually attended some of the town halls that were had, which had some great discussion amongst the parents that were in attendance. And, you know, one thing that when we look at the teachers that we hear as a recurring theme is the burnout. Because it's not just about what you have going on in the classroom. You're having to use your planning periods to take care of those other things, so you're not getting your planning period. You're there late after school. I know some of the staff members serve as tutors or coaches or mentors or sponsors for other activities, and you're there sometimes until 9:30 at night, and you're there at 7 o'clock in the morning. You know, those are long, long days, and we might not be able to compensate you, like I said before, with what you should be compensated for all you do, but sometimes that gift of time, makes a big difference. And, you know, personally, I see many benefits to this, not just to the staff, but to the students as well. Because as a parent, if my child has to go to the doctor, I have to take her out of class to take her, like the orthodontist is a great example. There's no orthodontist in Franklin, so I have to take her at least to Suffolk. So if I have to drive to Suffolk, I have to get her out of class. I have to allow for 35, 40 minutes to get there, because you never know what traffic's going to be like. Then you get there, and we all know when you go to see anyone in the medical profession, you don't get taken right in when you go. You have to sit there for a little while. So then you get seen, and now you've probably spent an hour sitting there, and now you've got another 35, 40-minute drive back. So you've just spent 2.5 hours of your day. And if it's a teacher, then a teacher has missed that instructional time with their student. They probably had to take the whole day. They've had to have a substitute come in. They had to prepare lesson plans for that substitute. Some of that can be shifted to Fridays. So they now have that time, and they don't have to take away, because there's one sitting in, there's actually several. I can't just point out one, because I'm sitting here looking at 2 right now that I know of, and I know there's more in here, that their students come first. And they're going to be the ones that are there. And they're going to give up their stuff to be there for their students. And I know that. So if we can give you some time back so that you're not doing all that stuff in your planning period, and you have your planning period again, so that you have time that you don't have to take away from your classes, so that, you know, you can, if there are things that you do after school with students, you have the ability now to shift those to Fridays if you want to, so you don't have to stay there half the night. There's just so many benefits that we see from this. You know, if you've got a student, and teachers know this in their heads, you give your all to the students, and you give even more than you have to the students that are struggling. This gives you some time that you can spend with those students as well. So it's so much good, I think, that could come out of this. Can't give you the salary, but we can give you time.
I have a question. Are there other divisions doing this that you can look to and see how it affects the students, their grades, their retention of the information? I mean, if they're skipping 3 days instead of 2 from Friday, you know, if they're going from Thursday to Monday, does that affect their the retention of what they're learning.
I work in a division, although it's with adults who are on a 4-day cycle. And, you know, we wondered how it was going to be because it does, you know, extend their time in class. But it's been overwhelmingly positive, and they're more willing to take something with them on a Thursday afternoon to work on over the weekend because it's more, they actually have a chance to rest and reset as opposed to, you know, doing whatever else that they have only used to have Saturday and Sunday to do. Now they have Friday and Saturday to do, and then Sunday they can kind of recharge. So speaking from personal experience in education, I've seen it to be positive.
And although I don't teach publicly, I homeschool, but I'm on a 4-day schedule.
Yeah.
And my students have done well.
All right. That's good to know.
Another benefit that I can see from this, and this one actually popped into my head after I sat through one of the town halls. For those students, we had them in front of us tonight, the ones that are already through half of their bachelor's because they've gone through these programs and they've gotten 2 years under the belt. When we're looking at a 4-year university, and Ms. Johnson and I both have gone through this recently with kids, they're not just looking for the goods that, the students that look good academically. They're not just looking for those high grade caliber students. They're looking for more. They're looking for leadership. They're looking for involvement, community service, extracurriculars. This will give those kids that Friday where they can go out in the community. A lot of that community service, the organizations that they would partner with to do that are kind of on a regular day schedule. They're on an 8 to 5, 9 to 5 schedule. So that gives some time that they can participate in some of those things as well and get more service hours in.
It also opens up the ability for them to work more for those who are, you know, working and bringing money in for either to save for the future or helping out the household. I mean, it gives, you know, all of Friday as opposed to like 4 o'clock on Friday to 9 or whatever the cutoff is. So, you know, it has that benefit as well.
My first impression was, you know, some tutoring programs have been implemented, started recently, and my first impression was that this would be undermining that purpose, where we're providing more instructional time, and this seems to be reducing that instructional time somewhat.
No, actually it's the same instructional time, and it's going to be interesting bringing it before the board how we revamp or be innovative with that curriculum. Like our elementary babies, instead of the 120 minutes, they'll get 2 hours of a reading block. So now, about 3 years ago, we implemented a novel-based curriculum. So this really allows the teachers to get down deep into that novel, use that readers and writers workshop, tabbing, highlighting, really getting into the different characters with our kids instead of, okay, you got 60 minutes direct, now you got to do the rotation table. So I was just talking to the chief academic officer and how we're going to break down these the time within, you know, the students' reading schedules and the math schedule before we started talking to the administrators and the teachers. That time that they have on task is increasing, not decreasing. And let's I want to be clear. It's a 4.5-day work schedule 1 week, and then you know, for the kids, and then off the next. And then you'll be able to see how we apply that project-based learning, how we sit up here and actually do the dream makers and build robots and actually have races and really apply the learning. And looking at robotics, that half day is all of his team can come together just to build during that school, that 4.5-day work week, applying the learning. So once you start looking at the schedule, you'll start to see, wow, these minutes have actually increased and not decreased for the children. We made certain of that.
And I will say, just because we see the good in it and we support this, we were very clear at the last meeting that if the overwhelming response from the staff or from the parents was that they didn't think this would work, then we don't implement. It's that simple. But I think there's always, it's never going to be a perfect solution because there's always going to be some give and take. So there is the potential that, there could be some cons to it, but do the pros outweigh the cons?
Right. Okay.
Any other questions, discussions? All right, well, thank you very much, Dr. Sterling.
Thank you.
Next up is business by school board members. First one on that is the governance handbook. Back last month, we've been working on this for 3 years now, I think. We had some revisions. We never put them in place. So I went through, based upon the revisions from that VSBA meeting, say that 10 times fast, that we had where we looked at updating it. And this was where I put those revisions in place. Those items that are highlighted are things that we need to review to make sure that they are still applicable and that we still want them that way. As you will recall, we do have VSBA training next Friday that is mandatory for everyone. And at that time, we can look at our vision and our mission and goals for the board and make sure that these are still what we want in place. The rest of it was just edited according to what we had determined at that meeting when we looked at revising this. The roles and duties of the school board, we just need to make sure that those are still the roles and duties as we have them pertain to us. I did clean up the spacing because if you recall the book that we have now, the spacing was way off, and so cleaned a lot of that up. And then when you get down to page 13, the items that are highlighted in green again are things that we need to review and make sure that are still applicable to our board. And then the last part that was highlighted is, I will say, the boards and committees. I did tweak that. I put that in a table format because I thought that flowed a little bit better. And then the last would be the appendix, because we had discussed whether or not we thought these things should be included in the governance handbook or not. So we just need to go over that. So I would like to, before the end of June, get this finalized so that we do have an active governance handbook moving forward that is updated. So if you could review that, of course, we will probably have some takeaways from next Friday that will influence some of that. But on those other items, especially the ones that are highlighted in green and the roles of the board, review those and give me any feedback that you have on those. And we'll look at those in June. Any questions, comments, discussion on that? All right. Next up, we'll do important dates to remember. Yes.
Can I bring up something?
Sure.
Since I didn't earlier. I just want to thank Ms. Lee for speaking earlier. I just want to encourage all parents and community to come to the school board meetings. I know it's we're not able necessarily to interact directly and answer direct questions, but you can go through appropriately to go through the superintendents. But we do like your feedback and concerns. It makes it the job easier for me as a board member. And just the teachers, administrators, I continue to encourage parents to get them to really be involved with their students, because I feel like our administrators and teachers, they give their all to the students, but it's really a partnership with the parents as well. And so we need the community as a whole to really, and to build up our students. So that's it.
Important dates to remember. There's this little thing we have going on next Friday. Have I mentioned it yet in this meeting? We'll be in the conference room over in central office. Memorial Day is on Monday the 30th. That is a holiday. Our next work session is on June the 1st, and we have this little event we hold every year on June the 30th. You know, big family gathering to celebrate those that are moving on from Franklin High School, called a graduation. That will be at the Workforce Center. Of course, anyone that's coming from the board, be sure you don your gown accordingly. And then the promotion ceremonies as well, because everyone else that's being promoted within the division is just as important. So pre-K is June 8th at 9:30. Kindergarten is June 9th at 9:30. And 8th grade is on June 10th at 9, with 5th grade being on June 10th at 6 o'clock. Next up, 10.3, business by school board members. Does any board member have anything to share?
Oh, sorry, that was when I was supposed to speak.
That's okay.
My apologies.
Jerry was just so excited.
I enjoyed briefly meeting some of the graduates who were honored this evening.
They're an amazing group of young people. They are. Anything else? Ms. Johnson, are you waiting for 11.1?
I move to adjourn.
We have a motion to adjourn. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
See, it's good
Hearing
sometimes.
none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? I want to thank everyone for coming out. I want to thank our members of City Council for joining us tonight. And have a wonderful, wonderful evening.